Begin.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's nice to be joined with you. It's been a little while, and I'm grateful to see so many members of our parliamentary caucus, as well as esteemed ethnic media leaders in the country. We're very grateful to host some of you at the Christmas party, which was a wonderful experience. And so I wanted to give you a recap of the successes and the work we have undertaken to ensure energy is affordable for the people of Ontario. And I want to just first off recognize that with us, we have a few parliamentarians. I want to first off thank my friend Sharif Sabawi. I want to thank as well MPP Anand for joining. Thank you, Deepak. I want to also
Recording in
thank
progress.
Minister Kusindova, who has been a forceful leader in our governing cabinet, and of course, Parliamentary Assistant Rudy Cazzetto and Minister Nina Tangri. So we've got a large team of members on with you today, and we're excited to really profile some of the good work we've done. I want you to know that our priority in Ontario has been affordable, reliable, abundant energy for Ontario families. So we introduced the Affordable Energy Act that for the first time in a long time is designed to make sure hydro rates stay affordable, not increased by 300% as they did under the former Liberal government. We have now prioritized nuclear energy as our solution to our energy demand challenges. And unlike many jurisdictions, east and west, north and south, who are scrambling for power, the team I named here, we have been working really throughout the past several months to build the clean energy future for our children and grandchildren. And so I'm proud to report that just 2 days ago, it is now law of the land, the Affordable Energy Act, that ensures competitive procurements that save ratepayers 30% when we generate power, nuclear energy as our priority, and the largest energy efficiency and energy conservation initiative we're launching in Canadian history that we're going to be unveiling in the weeks ahead. All of this is designed to reduce the bills for our families and seniors, many of whom were driven into energy poverty under the former Liberal Party. And I'll tell you that the federal Liberals today for the country, where they want to impose a new carbon tax, a second carbon tax at 5 times the current one, 5 times. So, which would have a disastrous impact on your bills, a real impact on family household budgets, on the cost of groceries, and of course, the cost of electricity. And so we believe, as progressive conservatives, in opposing this increase in costs on working people. And that's why we've said to the federal government, we need them to step back from this proposed clean energy regulation. So we've been initiating clean energy. We have been unveiling conservation programs. We've been expanding nuclear. We've announced 3 new locations in Ontario, in Haldimand, in Lambton, as well as in Wesleyville, so just outside of Port Hope, where we've committed to generating net new energy. And I'll tell you, it's a great achievement, I believe, for Ontario, a great success for our country, because we have energy security, which so many parts of the world don't. Now, I invited my esteemed colleague, Minister Kusindova Bashta, to join me, among others, because I was also with Rudy Cazzetto in Poland and Estonia. And in Poland, we helped secure a significant achievement for Ontario, a 40 million agreement that allows us in Ontario to deploy our small modular reactors into Eastern Europe so that we can end the European dependence on Vladimir Putin's natural gas and oil. And I do believe that that is a powerful signal that democratic nations are coming together to support our friends. And it's a message of focusing in on our clean energy export potential, because we already are selling SMRs to the world. So this agreement with Poland opens up a whole new export market. It supports the Polish government as they transition away from coal. But perhaps most importantly, our exports abroad create jobs back home. And we were proud to deliver that for the people of Ontario. We also have an export agreement with Estonia, which was a great achievement, as we also deliver small modular reactors and help them build a SMR in their country so that they too can stop purchasing natural gas from Vladimir Putin. This is an opportunity for Ontario because we have a need to produce 75% more power by 2050. 75%. 4.5 cities of Toronto have to be added to the grid. And yet here we are confidently speaking about our future because we have a plan and our premier is leading the way. And I've been very blessed to be working with good people, Sharif, Natalia, Deepak, Nina, Rudy. I mean, every one of them is vested in ensuring that our kids, and like I say this while Natalia is carrying a child. She's, we all have skin in the game here. We all want to make sure our kids, future or current, are set up for success. So it's an honor to serve with them. I'm grateful for this opportunity to help promote our country to the world and keep energy rates low, because if we don't oppose this new federal carbon tax that Bonnie Crombie wants to impose on Ontarians too, it'll drive up every energy bill in Ontario, a $35 billion hit to our economy that we cannot afford. So we're going to keep fighting and standing up for common sense values and for economic prosperity, for affordability, and for reliability, because, the opposition, the Liberals will say, well, we should build more windmills. It's like, okay, we can do that too, but we need the power to be reliable. And that's the difference. We have a realistic plan for growth. So Shannon, maybe I'll stop there, turn it back to you. If any colleagues want to speak, I'll defer to them and defer to you, but I am looking forward to the discussion today, and I'm just very grateful you've joined.
All right. Perfect. I see that MPP Sabawi wants to say a few words.
First of all, I would like to thank Minister Lecce for all the work he's doing in this file. The energy file is a very critical file for Ontario because we cannot expand in manufacturing, we cannot expand in housing, we cannot expand in creating businesses if we don't have the energy enough to drive that. And that's all the message we were getting when we were talking about EV cars. They're saying the grid doesn't have enough power. The grid is not gonna carry all those cars converting to electric by year to 2030. Well, now we can see we can do it, and of course all that because Minister Lecce, Premier Doug Ford, they understand the challenges and understand what need to be done, and we are getting it done. Also, I would like to thank him for coming to this roundtable because you guys are our vehicle to deliver this message to many of the communities which doesn't follow the mainstream media. Like whatever we do, they wouldn't know, they wouldn't understand what's going on without you guys. In my riding in Mississauga area, 55% of my riding didn't got born in Canada, which means they are belonging to different ethnic community, which means in a very nutshell, they are not gonna follow except their own medias. So you guys are our messenger to deliver this message to the community, and that's why we appreciate all your work. We are going to do our best to support you and help you to deliver a good job and make your life much easier. Thank you very much again for being here, and thank you for Minister Lecce. And I would hand out the microphone to some of my colleagues. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Maybe next I will go to Minister Kusundova if you wanted to say a few words.
Yes, hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here. And I just want to congratulate my friend and colleague, Minister Lecce. He's always teaching us how to do proper outreach into media. So he's been doing these ethnic media roundtables in his previous roles as education minister. I've hosted him in my office for an education roundtable. And so I'm really glad to see that he's continuing this trend in his new portfolio. I think we could all learn from him because it's really, really important that we engage our ethnic media. As Sharif has noted, many people who live in our ridings were not born in Canada. I myself was not born in Canada. And so we need to ensure that we can also continue spreading the government's message in other languages, because in Ontario, we have individuals who speak many, many different languages. So thank you for being here and joining us for this roundtable. I was wondering whether the minister could highlight his recent trip to Poland and Ukraine. I know we have some Polish and Ukrainian media here. Thank you so much for joining us. It was very exciting to see the minister and PA Kozetto be in Warsaw and meet with representatives of the Polish government, as well as then his quick trip to Ukraine. So if he could please just highlight some of those, some of the details of his very successful trip. As you know, Ontario and Poland has signed a memorandum of understanding on the small modular reactors. I'm very glad to see Poland become a leader in the area of nuclear energy, which is a huge contrast to what's happening, for example, in Germany. So, Minister, could you highlight some of those key initiatives for us?
Absolutely. It was exciting to be my second time returning to Poland. The first time was with Prime Minister Harper many years ago when we were supporting the Eastern European nations against Russian aggression. Then, unfortunately, we see history continues to repeat itself, and so Poland has been on the front lines of defending democracy, and I was very honored to meet the Minister of Industry there, where we secured an agreement to help build these small modular reactors in Poland for the first time. The first time they'll be pursuing nuclear energy. Ontario has an export agreement that essentially secures access for our SMR, a small modular reactor we're building with GE Hitachi, and they have committed to upwards of $100 billion of SMR expansion. They're trying to move away from coal. They still have a component of their grid is coal dependent. And we explained that, look, we've been there, done that. 20 years ago, we also made this decision. So we have the knowledge, the experience, and the proven track record. What makes Ontario unique to the Polish government, to the Estonian government, frankly, the Ukrainian government, in every meeting we've had, was that we can we could declare confidently that we're building small modular reactors and large-scale nuclear on time and on budget. And that's what the French and the British and the Americans cannot say. As much as we value our democratic allies, and God bless them, we stick together as democracies, but only Ontario is building on time and on budget. And that's a very special, potent message that the world is watching. And so we made this agreement with Synthos Green Energy. It was a very strong outcome for Ontario. And what it also signals is that other nations in Europe, including Czech Republic, Romania, are turning to Ontario for our leadership in nuclear as well. So I told the Polish government that we're not just doing small modular, that in the coming weeks, we'd also be announcing net new nuclear. So we did. As you know, last week, we announced 3 new sites for net new energy expansion. So it's been a very exciting opportunity to be in Poland, to sell our technology, clean technology to the world, help them deliver energy security, which is important for our democratic partners. I also told them that we were the first nation among the First Nations on Earth to recognize their independence. And I was honored to pay homage for Pope John Paul II, who not only was an incredible leader of faith in the world, but a man who helped, working with Ronald Reagan, secure freedom from communism under the USSR. So it was really special to be there as a Canadian, as a Catholic, but really just as a student of history, to be in a part of the world that has been on the front lines of defending democracy and liberty.
Minister, can you just highlight, for the benefit of all of us, what is here in Ontario, how much of our power is derived from nuclear, hydro, et cetera, just to give us an idea? And also, can you give us a bit of a timeline on the first SMR that's being built in Ontario? When is that going to be completed? And in the meantime, what does the legislative and regulatory framework look like? And how the fact that we're doing it first, and then our Polish friends and Estonian friends can look to us for guidance on how to implement their regulatory regimes?
Yeah, very important question. So Ontario will have our first small modular reactor in service by the early 2030, 2031. We'll be the first in the G7. We are the first in the G7 that is building a small modular reactor. So there's the first mover's advantage, which we're excited to promote. They produce about 300 megawatts of power, clean, non-emitting power, and they're stackable, meaning you could purchase 1 SMR, you could do 2 and 3, and you could really scale the amount of energy you need. The SMRs are what we're building out for the Polish people and government is a vision to create local supply chains so that local communities in Poland benefit too. So they're on track to be built. The Polish government is looking at building their first closer to 2030, five in the mid-30s. So we'll have done ours first. They'll learn the lessons, and then they're going to keep building theirs. And so we're excited about this prospect. And as I mentioned, in Ontario, about 50% of our power, base load power, comes from nuclear. About 25% from hydroelectric, and the rest is a mix of about 10% natural gas, and then the rest is renewables, as well as biomass. So we have a very strong mix, a competitive mix, an affordable energy system that we had to create because we inherited a system under the former Liberals that it was the most expensive in the country, most expensive on the continent. And now the Liberals want to increase energy again because they don't want us to use nuclear. They want us to build windmills everywhere, paying 80 cents a kilowatt hour when we could be using nuclear at 10 cents. And it's just very tragic because, families are paying the price still for Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty's mistakes, and we simply can never go back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will just see if Minister Tangri has some quick words. We do need to get to questions, so if we could, we'll keep it tight, and then we'll get to the media questions. Oh, I think she might be frozen. Minister Tangri, are you there?
And for coming and hosting this meeting. It is so important to our communities, especially our ethnic communities, to have the ability to listen to what we are doing here in the government of Ontario and the delivery board and our team are trying to make sure that we have the need for energy for not just the coming years, but many coming generations. We all know that Ontario is a choice for us as a home, and we our province grow. We want to see newcomers come here and enjoy what we enjoy. But to do all of that, bring the business that we want to bring, need the energy available. So together, it is great to see you on today's discussion.
Your connection's just not, it's skipping a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we might have lost her. So with that, I'm going to go right to questions. I know we have a few people that have some questions. So I'll go to Nitin at Prime Asia.
Thank you, Shannon. Good morning to everyone. Minister Lecce, always on the top, always doing the good work, and it's good to see you in the new portfolio and doing a great job. Correct me if I'm wrong. We always heard that Canada has surplus energy, and our major partner is USA. Our major customer is United States of America. And my question is, like, if Canada had surplus of energy, then why our energy bills were so high? And also for the export, is India and China, are they in our export list because they are the biggest market in the world too? Thank you.
So the former Liberals were selling energy. We do produce excess energy sometimes. That is true, and we sell it to the US. The difference between the Liberals and us is they allowed energy, surplus energy, to be sold at a discount. I mean, we would lose a lot of money when we sell power to Michigan or New York or Pennsylvania. Our government, under the Affordable Energy Act that just now is law of the land, it sets a new standard where we're going to set long-term purchase agreements at a much higher kilowatt hour, meaning we make money when we sell it. But unlike the Liberals who are selling short-term amounts of power, we're going to ask the Americans to sign long-term agreements. That means we in Ontario have to have long-term power. So it makes it puts pressure on both of us. But that we go from losing money to making a lot of money by selling our power at a premium. It is the most important commodity, one of them on earth today. Most jurisdictions don't have the ability to build nuclear. They don't have hydroelectric. They're scrambling. They're purchasing power desperately at a very high rate. we have the advantage. We already are a net exporter. We already are investing in our infrastructure to export energy into the US. We've been planning this for months. And unlike, it seems the federal government, Ontario under Premier Ford and our entire cabinet and team has been preparing for a potential President Trump, his reelection. And that's why we have been aggressive in making the case to the US that Canada, American energy dependence is critical for their economy. 9 million American jobs depend on Ontario's integrated economy. We are the third largest trading partner after China and Mexico to the US. And so we are taking our message to the world. We are promoting and safeguarding and defending Canadian jobs in our province. And I know Minister Tangri would want me to emphasize, particularly protecting small businesses and, families, businesses, farmers. Every Ontarian will pay more under the provincial and federal Liberal plan. They want to increase the carbon tax, the second carbon tax, by 5 times. That's going to add hundreds of dollars to families' pockets and businesses' pockets. So our priority, as I say, is to focus on affordability. We've passed a law that requires everything we do in the Ministry of Energy to be about affordable, reliable, clean power. But it has to be affordable, and that's the difference. And so we're going to be selling abroad with a profit in mind, with an advantage in mind, so that we ultimately, Ontario families who produce the power, could benefit from the monetization of that commodity. With respect to China, India, what I'd simply say is Canadian technology partners, like, for example, Atkinson Realis, who owns Candu, they have secured agreements in China to build new Candu reactors. And they, of course, promote their technology, both Westinghouse and Candu, into other markets, including China and India and other fast-growing markets. For Ontario, our focus has historically been areas that have expressed interest. We've been pitching this all over the world. And right now, a great emphasis is in the European markets because of the Russian war. All countries there are trying to turn away from Russian natural gas and turn to democratic sources of energy. But we look forward to working to export our technology in all regions of the world, well beyond Europe.
Thank you, Minister.
Okay, and I just want to quickly recognize MPP Anand. I know he has to hop off, but if you had any words that you wanted to say before you go, otherwise.
Yeah, and then maybe we can head back to Minister Tangri, who I think is here. Internet is good. Usually the internet problems happen with me, colleagues. So in a weird way, I'm saddened to hear that this is happening to Nina, but I'm calling Minister Surma after this, who's responsible for internet, and telling her, Mississauga and Vaughan need some better broadband. But Deepak, take it away, sir.
Minister, I just want to say thank you, but I want to ask you a question. In fact, with Ontario being the power engine for Canada, in fact, there are a lot of investments coming to Canada and Ontario especially. So having the strength, basically SMR technology, we can increase the revenue for the province of Ontario. By exporting, we can increase the province of Ontario. And this money, we can use it for the prosperity or giving back to Ontarians, whether it is in terms of reducing the tax or increasing the investment. What is your message, which I believe our media partners can take it from here? How can we use this as an opportunity to again prove to the world that we are the best place for investment and we are the best place to grow our family and a business? And I have to skip out, so I sincerely apologize. I was really enjoying it.
Thank you, Deepak. You should know, colleagues, Deepak has been extremely supportive of our energy build-out, as well as our entire Peel caucus. I mean, Sharif, Nina, we've got Natalia, we've got the whole team who's joined us, because we're very committed to the cause of affordable energy. So yes, Ontario is a clean energy superpower in the country, and I'd argue in the entire world. We have a unique advantage. We have all the ingredients, a proven track record. We have the technology, we have the storage, we have the skilled workforce, the best in the world. And of course, we have the ability to build large and small on time and on budget. And thus, of course, we also have uranium, one of the largest supplies of uranium in Saskatchewan that we process in Ontario. So we are a unique powerhouse in the globe. We are emphasizing to our democratic partners, we want to work with them on the energy transition. Clean, affordable, reliable power is available to them too. That's why we are going abroad. Romania, I went there on my 4th day as minister to secure a deal, an export deal to help refurbish their CANDU reactors. And then here we are weeks later selling small modular reactors to Eastern Europe. So we're going to keep pushing and creating those jobs. 80 to 90,000 people in Ontario depend on the nuclear sector. And I'm very proud of the nuclear sector because look, with nuclear energy, colleagues, we are removing the equivalent of 15 million cars from the road every single year. It's the most significant environmental action we've taken without increasing taxes, without a carbon tax. You do not need to raise taxes on families and small businesses to reduce emissions. Look no further than Ontario. Unlike the federal Liberals, who are not on track to meet emission targets, even with all the taxes in the world, here we are in Ontario on track to meet our commitments without making life more expensive for families. So I'm proud that Ontario is leading the way.
Okay, so I'll go to our next question. It's Sarah with VIP 51.
Thanks, Shannon. Hello, Minister. Nice to meet you again.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So my question is about the EVs. So now is with a growing number of electric vehicles on the road. So could you talk about our province plan to build more EV charging stations and to meet the growing demand for electricity while keeping the cost low? Thank you.
We were very excited in the Affordable Energy Act to remove all the red tape when it came to creating an EV charging. We need more EV charging stations. We estimate 1 million commuters will have an EV in the coming years by 2035. So we're preparing. We've removed the licensing and the red tape to open up a charging station. We announced with my colleague Patrice Barnes, $63 million for over 1,300 new EV charging stations across Ontario, which is very important. And they're going to be built in places like arenas and hospitals and libraries just to help expand convenience for families. So we're very committed to this cause. Now, remember, our Premier has led the way by attracting EV investments in Ontario too. It's really special that we now went from not being literally on the map as an EV producer of vehicles to now being one of the world's top performers and producers of EV vehicles. We have massive $47 billion of investment in Ontario. And the Liberals wanted us to turn away from manufacturing. Remember, they said we should turn to a service economy. And here was the Premier saying, absolutely not. He pursued a policy of reindustrialization. He pursued a policy to bring manufacturing jobs back, repatriate those jobs and the investment to Ontario. And look, we have $47 billion. Every major auto company has returned, or the new ones like Volkswagen, who never have been here, have put their money in Ontario, their trust and confidence in Ontario. So it demonstrates that the pro-business, pro-affordability, pro-worker approach to Doug Ford's government has been able to be very effective to create jobs, expand EV technology, expand EV production in Ontario, and obviously, when it comes to our ministry, expand EV charging right across Ontario, to the smallest towns, to the biggest cities. Everyone will have more access.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, great. Next, I'm going to go to Osama with AWA's Entertainment.
Hello, Minister Lecce. So I guess one of my questions is we're increasing the EV charging stations, but how do we what's the Ontario's plan for decreasing the cost of EV vehicles for Ontario affordability to help promote the purchase of EV vehicles as opposed to gasoline? Thank you.
Well, we offer incentives. For example, our ministry and government launched the super low overnight EV charging rate, which was designed to help incentivize EV owners to charge their vehicle at the lowest rate of energy available. We created a super low rate so that you power up your vehicle at night when the grid doesn't have as much stress, meaning that the peak demand is low, and that helps us keep costs low. So we're always going to be creating incentives like that to help families, afford the EV and maintain the EV. What we didn't do that the former Liberal government did was they were giving tens of thousands of dollars of subsidies to cars that were over $100,000. And look, I mean, I don't feel comfortable giving someone who's, if they could afford a $125,000 car, I'm not sure they're the right audience for a subsidy. I'd rather help out middle-class families who are struggling under the carbon tax and these these very appalling policies of the Liberals. I'd rather help them. I'd rather help a young family, a new Canadian. I'd rather help a young family by trying to buy a home, or a senior or a pensioner struggling. I mean, they're the people we care about most. So we're going to help everyone, don't get me wrong, but obviously we're not going to be giving subsidies to millionaires effectively, which is what the Liberals did, which is crazy and ironic, but we're going to focus on working families in Ontario. That's our priority number one. And it may be a good opportunity, Shannon, maybe to turn it back to Minister Tangri, because she may have a perspective on that, and obviously just the broader actions we're taking to support small business as well.
Thank you again, Minister. Thanks again, Shannon. Sorry, I'm trying to hotspot from my other phone because my office Wi-Fi is not the best. But I just wanted to thank you for putting this together, and just to let you all know that within our ethnic media, the reach that you have, the people that you're able to give our message to let them know that we're there for them. And what Minister Lecce is doing in the energy file and our government is to make sure that we are there for today's generation and for many future generations to come. We have to think forward. We have to look to the future. Many of us on this line here chose Canada as our home. And we're encouraging businesses to come here, to open up, and to bring more people to our country. And I think it's just exciting to see that we're really thinking hard in the long term. And for each and every one of you to be here to support us in getting that message out proves that Ontario, once again, will remain the best place to live, to work, to raise a family, and to own a business. So thank you again, Mr. Lecce, Shannon, to all of you for being here. And we're really looking forward to the discussion today. So thanks a lot.
And if I could just add one more thing, Shannon, I know I'm killing you. But I talked about the clean energy regulations. It always sounds good. The Liberals are really good at branding. Clean energy, right? Who's opposed to clean energy regulation? Just like when the Liberals unveiled the safe injection sites, they're very good at branding, but they're not particularly safe. So the bottom line is on the clean energy regulations. They want to increase energy rates, as I mentioned, 5 times higher than the carbon tax, a second carbon tax. For small businesses, that's a 17% increase. So I'm working closely with Nina, with Minister Tangri, Minister Fedeli, the Premier, to stand up to the federal Liberals and say enough. Like we are hurting the private sector. We're hurting families, small businesses, and entrepreneurs in the country. And we don't want a brain drain of people leaving to go to the US because it's a much easier economy to invest in, less red tape, less taxes. And we know that Trump will do what he did last time, which is make it he'll slash taxes. He'll create more opportunities for investment there. So just so you know, we're standing strong for our small business community, and I'm grateful to Nina for her leadership, particularly when it came to announcing a cut in the WSIB by, I believe, Nina, please correct me if I'm wrong, but like almost a 50% reduction, like the most significant savings for workers in Ontario history. So maybe if you can take a moment on that, because I think that's just such a big thing that maybe didn't get enough attention, but I know it's going to save a lot of workers a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree, Minister Lecce. It's one of the announcements that Minister Piccini and the Premier made last week was that we do have funds in the WSIB, and long before I was elected, we would hear time and time again from some of our great employers. They're safe. They've done a wonderful job keeping their employees safe, but paying significant amounts of WSIB premiums. So we've been able to rebate many of those companies in the past. And we've just announced that we're going to be doing that again to the tune of over $2 billion. Because they have such a great record, and an additional $1,000 is going to be going to a lot of those smaller businesses that approved their record as well. So we're excited to be doing that. And it's just helping with the cost of doing business to reduce those rates. And as we know, energy plays one of the largest parts of people being able to keep their doors open. And that's why Minister Lecce has been working so hard in making sure that we can make sure we keep those energy rates in check. And again, to make sure we have the power today and to keep that power coming for generations to come. Also, within our government, we've been keeping our taxes down. Our business tax, we reduced by 8.7% as soon as we got into government in 2018 in our very first budget. So making sure that we're looking towards our employers and helping them reinvest those savings back into their companies, whether it's hiring more people, adopting new technologies. And you know what? In Ontario, in our colleges and universities, even coming out of school, we have some of the brightest talent in the entire world. And now we're able to utilize all of those people and their skills in the nuclear sector, in all types of businesses and corporations. So we're really doing a very holistic approach in everything that we're doing in government in all sectors. And as Minister Lecce said earlier, it's not just about a service sector. That's important, but manufacturing, energy, nuclear, all of that is extremely important as well. So thank you again, Minister Lecce.
Thank you.
All right. So next I'm going to go to Katerina with New Pathway Ukrainian News.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for all information you share with us. Minister Lecce, last time we meeting, you mentioned about your recent meeting in Poland with Ukrainian Minister of Energy, Herman Galushchenko, and you mentioned that with your initiative, it will be given $5 million for Ukraine to support energy system before this very difficult war. And you mentioned that you have another initiative to support energy system of Ukraine. Would you please tell us more about this, your new initiative? Thank you.
Thank you. It was, I believe, we met just last week at the Christmas party at Queen's Park, if I'm not mistaken. So nice to see you, Katerina. Thank you for being with us. Yes, we were proud to go to the Rebuild Ukraine conference in Warsaw, Poland, about 3 weeks ago. And then I was at the Rebuild Ukraine conference with the Ukraine Chamber with Sharif Sabawi this past week. So we've been traveling abroad, here at home. We are fully committed to the supporting the Ukrainian people in their fight for sovereignty and for freedom. And, we're over 1,000 days of this war. And it's incredible bravery and courage of the Ukrainian military and families who have to endure Vladimir Putin's brutality. A reminder that this dictator must lose this war. So we are all in. I went to the Rebuild Ukraine conference in Poland to announce that Ontario will be stepping up again with a $5 million contribution of generators and transmitters to support the Ukrainian people as they have to deal with the winter, as the Russian army intentionally targets energy infrastructure because they're violating international law. They're not going after military bases. They're going after families, hospitals, schools. I mean, how many more examples do we need as the world to wake up and stop buying and financing Vladimir Putin's war machine, which is what many countries are still doing reluctantly as they buy his natural gas, they buy his petroleum or his nuclear fuel. So Ontario and Canada, by the way, has the 5th largest supply of natural gas, the 3rd largest supply of petroleum. We are one of the top nuclear fuel producers. You don't have to turn to Russia. You could turn to a democratic friend. So we announced that investment. We're deploying those generators as we speak. And we're proud to stand up for Ukrainian democracy. We were the first country on earth in 1991, I believe, to recognize Ukrainian independence under Prime Minister Marudy, a progressive conservative. So we're proud of our history. What I mentioned to you and others is that we're going to keep contributing to Ukrainian rebuilding. And what that means is when I met with the Minister of Energy and the Assistant Energy Minister, we talked about how post-war, how Ontario can help them with the rebuilding, be it of nuclear energy or, of course, natural gas or renewables. We have competence and expertise across the board. And my message to the Ukrainian government and to the minister was we in Ontario will step up and stand with Ukraine as they rebuild their infrastructure for the long term. And I just want to reassure Ukrainian families that we're not going to turn our back in 1,000, 2,000, however long it takes until the Ukrainian people are free. So we're in on this war and we're committed to peace in the region. But We recognize that there's a real humanitarian crisis happening, and that's why Ontario needs to play a role to support them. Obviously, we've done a lot of work. As you know, we announced the first province in Canada when I was Minister of Education at St. Demetrius. We announced that Ontario will mandate the Holodomor education in the curriculum. I want young kids to know, because sometimes on social media, these kids think it's cool to be a communist and it's fun to be a socialist, that we romanticize, Fidel Castro and Trotsky. It's like, no, kids. These people are brutal killers. So I want kids to understand the perils, the negative, the truth of totalitarianism and communism, and how brutal and inhumane this system of government is. And so we now have mandated that in the curriculum. So we've done a lot, and we're going to keep supporting your people. It's just the right thing to do as a Canadian and as a supporter of democracy. Thank you.
Okay. With that was the last question that I had submitted. I just want to open the floor if there's anybody else that has any questions. Otherwise, I will hand it back over to the minister and our MPPs to close.
I'm just going to say thank you for joining us, and I want to wish you all Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for your hard work this year. The Premier mentioned it. We're going to continue to support you across the board and make sure you have access to us. So I'm going to end it early, but maybe my colleagues would like to expand with more of a message. But I just want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for your interest and for your work and leadership in Canada. And maybe with that, I'll turn it to Sharif, and then we can go through the list. I see Nina's as well with us, and potentially, as well as Minister Kusudova Bashta. So Sharif, turn it to you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and I really appreciate all your insights about this very critical file. I think all the efforts we are doing to boost our position economically and manufacturing-wise and clean energy-wise, we are all seeing the efforts you are putting there to move Ontario to be leading North America. And also today we had ethnic media, which we have been trying our best to be close to them, to deliver the message, because we believe that you guys are partners in delivering our message to the public, partners in getting Ontario better. And we will do all what we can to support, to help. And we are all available. I think all of you guys have our numbers, me, Nina, Deepak, Natalia. We are all here to help. So please reach out to us when you have any questions, when you have opportunity, when you have inquiry, when your audience ask questions, we are here to answer for you. Thank you very much.
All right, I just wanted to hop in, sorry. Anjum with Voice of Toronto actually has a question that he was wanting to ask. So before we go, I'll just go over to Anjum.
Sure.
Anjum, are you there? Oh, I also see, okay, so Ishwa from Y Media actually has a question, so maybe I'll go to Ishwa first. Isha?
Yes, Shannon, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, would you like to ask a question?
Sure. Hi, Minister Lecce. This is Isha from Y Media Group. And my question to you is, Minister Lecce, with Ontario's commitment to becoming an energy superpower and exporting clean energy globally, are there any specific strategies that are in place to ensure that this transition not only meets domestic energy demands, but also creates tangible benefits like job creation, economic growth for Ontarians?
Yeah, I very much appreciate this question. Our vision, because we need to produce 75% more power between now and 2050. And our commitment is to deliver energy that is affordable. That's the bottom line. The former Liberals purchased the most expensive energy on earth. We're delivering affordable energy, and we're going to keep it affordable, keep bills down, and of course, export excess energy so that we can drive jobs and revenue back home. Every time I go abroad, as Rudy discovered with me in Poland and Estonia, we grind. We spend little time abroad, and all we do is sell Ontario's energy advantage to the world. And we produced results. We brought back agreements, tens of millions of dollars of agreements that's going to create hundreds of jobs, good paying jobs. When we sell power to the US, we're taking a different approach. We're focusing on exporting energy to the US at a premium so that we make money. And we obviously put people to work in our province. We have to end being a charity to our competitors, which is essentially what we're doing right now. We're selling cheap power to the states, while they're democracies, and we love them, and the premier is very, very supportive of the Canada-US relationship. But we compete for investment with these people too. So we are undermining our own economic interests. Only a liberal could believe this is a smart strategy. But thank God, our premier and our team, we are committed to, challenging how we used to do things. Because you always hear government and these bureaucrats say, "Well, we always did it that way." Well, we've been losing money for a decade. So we are challenging. We are stepping up. And we're frankly being more ambitious with our long-term energy plan, because the Affordable Energy Act creates Ontario's first long-term integrated energy plan that integrates natural gas, electricity, and fuels all together with a 25-year horizon. Why that matters for you is because for anyone who's a parent or a grandparent, or maybe one day will be a parent, you live for your children. And governments live for themselves often. And here you have a premier who's focused on a 25-year horizon so that our kids have reliable power, clean power. Our plan will produce the cleanest energy grid in Ontario history. We will literally go from 90% non-emitting, meaning 90% no emissions, like hydroelectric or nuclear, to roughly 99+%. One of the cleanest grids on earth. And I'm so proud of that. But we're doing it without raising taxes. And that's the fundamental contrast between Bonnie Crombie and Doug Ford. One's going to make the environment, keep it clean, keep it sustainable, without raiding your pocketbooks. And that's why I'm obviously very committed to the Premier's leadership and vision for affordability.
Thank you so much, Minister. That answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll try going back to Anjum with Voice of Toronto. Anjum, are you able to unmute?
If for some reason they're not, if they could always text in the question and I could answer it.
Yeah.
If that helps, Shannon.
Okay. Maybe I'll just go over to Minister Kusindova, and I'll try giving Anjum a quick call.
Could I just give a 10-second intro to Minister Kusindova, because she just brought forth, in addition to being her first bill in the legislature, leadership when it comes to protecting seniors, dementia, and families who have been afflicted, who are caregivers like myself for my own 100-year-old grandmother. And what she has done, initiated a landmark piece of legislation that helps us provide the best possible care for seniors. And I'm very grateful to her, because I have one grandmother in long-term care. One is 100, one is turning 100. I'm very blessed. And I just want to thank Natalia for being a true leader in the legislature, fighting for our seniors, some of whom don't have a voice. And so thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Thank you so much, Minister Lecce, and thanks for hosting us today. I'm very proud to be part of this government with your leadership and leadership of Premier Doug Ford on our energy file. I think you're doing such an incredible job. Please keep it up. And like I said, I'm super proud of that memorandum of understanding that was signed between Ontario and Poland. More good news to come, and looking forward to those very positive outcomes for Europe. As you know, we fight the aggression that was brought forward by Vladimir Putin. But thanks for speaking about my bill as well, because I do think it's relevant to the cultural media that are here today. And perhaps I will take a page out of your book and host a cultural media roundtable on the bill itself. But why is it relevant? Because in Ontario, we are so lucky and so fortunate to have culturally designated homes. So not only Francophone homes, which are designated under the French Language Services Act, but also homes that cater to specific cultural, religious, and spiritual needs of our residents. So you're probably familiar. We have Ukrainian, Polish, Italian, Jewish, Mennonite, and many others. And so as part of the bill that I introduced yesterday, we put forward new requirements that will require homes that are Anglophone homes that also consider the cultural, spiritual, and linguistic needs of their residents. So this is a first. We're celebrating our diversity here in the province of Ontario. but we're also starting a new cultural pilot for those homes that do have cultural designations to ensure that more residents that attribute to that culture will be.
Oh, I think we might have lost her there. Okay, I'm gonna go. He sent me the question. His question is, does the government have a plan to subsidize energy costs for seniors and elderly?
I will go back to Minister Kusindova Bashta as soon as she comes back. What I'll just say is we do have some of the largest subsidy programs for low-income families and seniors in the province. We have, in fact, enriched them. Natalia, we're coming right back to you, but we're filling the time. So one quick question. So just about supporting seniors with energy subsidies, the answer is yes. We actually have very large supportive programs in place for low-income and for fixed-income pensioners and seniors. All local utilities have access to these programs. Our government has stabilized hydro rates. We've reduced hydro rates after they increased by 300%, driving many seniors into energy poverty. Whereas you remember the days where they're choosing between eating and heating in Canada, or the richest nations on earth. What a sad story and a moment in our history, but we can change that, and we are, by reducing energy rates, opposing the carbon tax, and now bringing forth and passing the Affordable Energy Act that will make energy more abundant, more reliable, and yes, much more affordable, because we're going to be doing purchasing of energy based on competition, competitive procurements that drive down the price by 30%. No more sole sourcing, buying the most expensive energy you can find, 80 cents a kilowatt hour for windmills, when you could have done 10 cents, 9 cents for nuclear. It's just crazy, and we're not going to stand for that. But so we'll continue to support seniors. But with that, let's turn it back to the minister, who was just talking about her landmark legislation.
Thank you. I was actually wrapping up. Technology is not our friend today, but that's all right. We'll keep on trying. My final thought was that, this bill yesterday that was introduced, which also includes $114 million in targeted investments to support our seniors and caregivers, is also coupled with the largest historical infrastructure investment into building more long-term care homes across the province. As we know, we have an aging population and we have some real capacity pressures. But I'm so proud also that it is this government, under the leadership of Premier Ford, that's building the largest number of cultural homes. And so we know, for example, in Sharif's riding in Mississauga, East Cooksville, we already have shovels in the ground on a beautiful new Ukrainian home, an expansion of the Ivan Franko home. I'm looking in the future at my friends at Copernicus Lodge from the Polish community to perhaps, put forward a project to build a second Polish home. We have the Guru Nanak home, which is in Brampton. So that's another successful project. We're building the first ever Muslim home through the Muslim Welfare Center, which will be located in Curtis, Ontario. And so many, many projects to come. So, if through your channels, through your cultural media, of people or communities that want to put forward an application to build a cultural home, this government has your back, and this government will do everything we can to make sure that we build as many homes that respond to cultural and linguistic needs of our seniors. So thank you so much, Minister Lecce, for having me today. Thank you to all of our ethnic media. You're doing such a great job. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I look forward to our continued collaboration.
Okay, and I think we just have Minister Tangri, if you had any final notes.
Thank you again, Shannon and Minister Lecce, for hosting today, and to each and every one of you. Once again, just to reiterate the fact that you are our voices on the ground as well, and to be able to get out our message to the public. And we've chosen Ontario as our home, and we want to continue to make sure that each and everyone knows that Ontario is a very welcoming place. So thank you for your part of what you do. But just to be very honest and to understand that each and everything that we put through our government is very well thought through. It goes through many different channels, through cabinet, through caucus, through everything that we do, through the public. to make sure that we're making decisions that benefit everyone. And for you to be part of that and to get that message out there is extremely, extremely important. Again, our government is just looking towards the next election. We're not looking at just because we need to get elected. We want to make sure that we are there for all of our future generations. And it's just so important. And this government has taken leadership when it comes, as Natalia had mentioned, long-term care. So taking care of our seniors, whether it's education, so our youngest of the people going through our schools, to make sure that our education curriculum is the best in the world. And going back to the basics and making sure that our children are learning what they really need to learn and be there for them, and everything in between. As you know, Minister Fedeli is traveling around the world. He's bringing significant investment into Ontario. The one thing that every company asks if they're coming here, they want to set up shop, do we have reliable energy? Do we have energy costs in check that makes it affordable for them to do that? And we're very proud to say, with the great work of Minister Lecce and the team, that we can confidently say yes, which is why we've been able to bring in about $45 billion of investment since coming into government. So thank you again to each and every one of you. Merry Christmas. Have a wonderful, safe New Year. I'm sure I will see many of you before then. And thanks again for joining us all today.
Okay. And thank you. We should mention, thank you to Sharif, who introduced Ukrainian Heritage Month legislation, because, with all the darkness happening in the world, I'm proud that Ontario will be honoring and preserving Ontario Ukrainian heritage. I know that the Putin regime wants to erase your history, but we're going to preserve it in Canada and Ontario. So thank you, Sharif, for your leadership. Thank you, Nina, for everything you're doing for small businesses. Thank you, Natalia, for standing up for seniors. Deepak, Rudy, the whole team, thank you all. Merry Christmas. And I look forward to seeing you in person in January. All right. Thanks, Shannon. Appreciate it.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.